Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the Be There in 5 podcast. I'm Kate Kennedy, your host, and just doing a brief intro today because I love nothing more than having, I'm trying to not to have people on that are like just promoting something. It needs to be something that like I or you are disproportionately interested in. Or I want them to be somebody promoting something who's like my friend because then we can have like fun banter, Today we're having on Lyndsay Rush, who is at Mary Oliver's Drunk Cousin on Instagram. You've probably seen many of her viral poems. Her super viral one that's the inspo behind this book was called She's a Bit Much. And as a person who showed up today as if it's the day of Olin Mills picture day and I slept in double Dutch braids last night and have like a light crimp, like I've been known to have been called a bit much or so random. Take your pick. It's just an interesting phrase that I think women are accused of often, and you're made to feel like you're too much often, whether I'm like apologizing for being overdressed or too verbose or too long or that I need a co-host or trying too hard. Like why is the idea of being a try hard like such a threat, and why is it such an insult? Like I think it's really fascinating when you think about how this pressure's put on us to appear as close to perfect as possible, but also appear to have put no effort into it whatsoever. And I think that I tell you what's up. Do you want to get down? Breaking news. Tugboat is no longer the most difficult member of our house. Let's just say I'm glad I recorded Millennial with Child when I did. Because having a toddler is different than having a baby. And maybe we'll do a Patreon on that soon. It's interesting. Baby's like a cute sidekick in the home. A toddler's god-awful house guest that doesn't leave. A squatter, really. Love him. My petite prince. Wouldn't change a thing. But what a journey. What a journey, gang. Okay, I don't know, you guys. If you're watching on YouTube, it's really like, this is my continuity errors tour. Because I do like 5 outfit changes. I sit down a million times. I'll notice my little lamp's off. My fire's not cackling the way it should. I'll get too hot. It's a whole thing. Anyway, you guys, what else is new this week? I need to do a Patreon about 2 things. I want to give you some of my updated early toddler thoughts. And also sharp left, the sharpest of lefts. I feel like I still have a part of me that's a little conspiracy theory vibey. And I'm just like, I have been reading through this P. Diddy indictment and it's sick. It's sad. What a fucking monster. I hope he rots in hell. I feel like oftentimes we'll like wait for people to like get taken down with somebody or like, oh my God, they're going to sing and then they don't. But like so many people super intertwined with P. Diddy. And some nights have been deep in a scroll of the Kardashians being a bit quiet lately. And there's like crazy conspiracies, not even conspiracies. Once, I don't know, I'm going to say twice a year, maybe once a quarter. I'll wake up in the middle of the night and text my sister, hey, what do we think Corey Gamble's job is? How do we think he makes income? How do we think he Venmos the girls? Like, who's paying for what here? I don't get it. And then I'll do a small snorkel about Corey. And then, like, there's a lot of theories about him being a handler, this, that, or the other. He's associated with so many people. And then there's, like, a literal photo of the coroner going to P. Diddy and Kim Porter's house when Kim Porter died. And Corey Gamble is, like, in the photo on the scene the day Kim Porter died. I mean, he, like, knows a lot. And we now know that Diddy is violent and scary and capable of many things. And I just don't know, you guys. It just seems like he operated a large system where he blackmailed a lot of people to be complicit. And I'm just interested to see what happens. And I just needed somebody to talk to about the gamble of it all. But even talking about it is a gamble in and of itself. So who really knows? I also wanted to formally thank you, the Beths, for always looking out for me in trying times. I tried to do something this week. I really thought it was a good idea. I've been looking to take a chance, make a change, and break away. I've been feeling a little stuck. And I came to the internet, to the Best, for some moral support because girls support girls. And what I found is sometimes the best way a girl can support a girl is to say no, to push back, to write another girl in all caps, with expletives even sometimes. What they're proposing to do is a bad idea. And at the time I felt deflated. But now I wanted to thank you because I told you guys that I was thinking of cutting my own face framing layers. And I thought you'd be like, let's go, girls. We're going out tonight. I'm feeling all right. I'm going to let it all hang out. my angled face framing layers. But instead you were like, don't do it. Do not do it. Turn the car around. I'll read you some of the responses. No, don't do it. Stop right now. Stop. Fuck. No. Do not do it. Kate, no. Stop. Bad idea. Don't do it, girl. It's not worth it. Put the scissors down. No with 50 no's. And at first I was like, guys, I'm a crafty gal. I had a globally ranked Etsy shop. I know my way around a scissor. But you're right. I had no business. It's one thing to like trim your own hair. Like, okay, no way. Worst, I feel like, of trimming your own hair is like dusting the ends is okay. No way is probably layers. And def not is bangs, right? Like, I feel like we all saw that TikTok of that girl giving herself like gorgeous fringe bangs. And I think we all need to ask ourselves anytime anybody is offering up a tutorial, what I say is, Kate, does that girl have tremendous skills or tremendous looks? And typically that girl is already gorgeous. It's kind of the game of, I know this is problematic, but it's like, is that outfit cute or is she skinny? I don't want that for myself. I don't want to have that gaze, but I'm conditioned and a product of the 2000s diet culture. And sometimes I'm like, Amanda Batula, wow, I need a painter's jumpsuit. No, I don't. But I actually think I need more layers because I think I went in hesitantly because I got like scared. But I think that I'm so done with Arizona waves, Utah waves, Victoria's Secret waves. Like, I think I want to go back to like bouncy blowout, Kate Middleton blowout, 90s blowout. Like, I think today I have, again, like finger in a light socket. I just am like dying to do something different to the point where I'm now crimping. It's not okay. It's all downhill over here. Speaking of, though, Lindsay and I talked today about why is going downhill bad? Downhill's like the best part of being on a bike. It's something she has a poem about, which is so beautiful. And other than that, the other thing I fell for this week on the internet was, you know how you'll see something that's like, here is this viral product you have to have. It will change your life, change your looks. It's a called product. It's the best kept secret of makeup counters since the 1980s. Like, I fall for it all. I'm like, best kept secret since the 1980s. Like, isn't it just a bad product that hasn't sold well? But it actually always is sold out when I would go. And that's the Clinique Black Cherry lipstick. People talk about it like it's this color that just finds itself on you and it's slightly different on everybody and it just like works. It's your perfect color. And again, it's like, Kate, ask yourself, is the person selling this to you objectively gorgeous? Or is this product that good? And it's always the former. And I went to Target and I bought Black Cherry and I just was thinking it was going to transform my look and give me the lip color I always needed. It was like over $20 and it was the color of any old Bonnie Bell. I just don't get it, you guys. I don't get it. It doesn't last. It was too high moisture. But also, I think it made me look a little mature. And I just think sometimes when my hair is blown out and I have like a certain lip color, I can look a little newscastery. I tend to go, I like to do corpse girl fall or like bold lip, like orangey red, you know, rigor mortis mama, or red lip classic thing that he likes. And by he, I don't mean my husband or my baby because both of them seem to dodge my face when I'm wearing a bold lip. But we don't dress for women. We don't dress for men. Lately, we've been dressing for revenge. And I guess I'm just kind of upset with Bess this week. We're kind of in a fight because of two things. The face framing layers, which I'm kind of kidding because I will thank you for. Secondly, I posted a photo on my birthday and I got read to filth in the most amazingly accurate way possible. Somebody commented. It's like so fucking accurate. It was something along the lines of like my outfit or my style is like Stephanie Tanner started hanging out with Gia. And I was like, oh my God. I have like a blonde, wholesome, all-American vibe to me, but like, yeah, I'll stand with you and puff a cigarette that I'll never inhale. God, no. Have you seen those lung commercials? Hugs, not drugs. I do have big Stephanie Gia energy. Like, I'd attend a makeup party, but I don't really think I would go through with anything. Although I feel like Gia, because she had a crop top, sometimes wore leather, she like, you know, had to do 6th grade twice, she smoked cigs. Like, I feel like the Full House lore looks back on Gia like such a bad girl. But Kimmy Gibbler wasn't exactly a good influence. Kimmy's who got drunk and DJ had to take care of in her room with so much wicker furniture. Anyway, okay, last thing I would say is that this episode title. I think at one point when we weren't recording, we were talking about how good Sabrina Carpenter's album is, which came out when I was on hiatus. And you guys, it is like one of the best pop albums I've heard in years. It's called Short and Sweet. It actually is short and sweet, compact, right, tight, 12 songs, and there are like literally no skips. Sometimes I'll say something's no skips, like hyperbolically, but like there are some skips. You know, I can fix them normally. I can. You know what I always keep is My Boy Only Breaks His Favorite Toys, but then when I listen to it, I'm like, wait, this is kind of good. I think I hate the title so much. I'm just always picturing Sid from Toy Story. Also coming up, I am going to do a reanalysis of Tortured Poets because I think I surprised myself with how I literally listened to it almost exclusively all summer until I got more into Brat, Chappell Roan, and Sabrina. I'm nothing if not predictable. You can't fix me. No, really, you can't. She has this song that some people think it's about Joshua Bassett because he covers Leonard Cohen, and she has the lyric Jack Off to Lyrics by Leonard Cohen. But it also could fit for Shawn Mendes, which I did not know Shawn Mendes, Sabrina Carpenter, and Camila Cabello had like this weird love triangle situation. But Shawn Mendes is kind of like he's cult adjacent. He meditates a lot. He can be seen on beaches wearing bandanas around his head. I feel like I've heard it. I've heard both him and Joshua Bassett speak in ways about like life and meaning and spiritual shit. Like there's this interview Joshua Bassett did that I'm like, at what point are we going to hold like people accountable and who are putting things out to the world? Like these women who have gone like, it started at essential oils, but now it's like somehow made its way to aliens. Similarly, like Joshua Bassett, it was on the Zach Sang show and literally talks about ayahuasca and his experience. And he's presenting it as like this really vulnerable spiritual thing. But I'm like, this is actually what I think is spiritual psychosis. Just my opinion. The way people talk about having these like transcendental moments of like meeting Jesus and or a creator and having this like inflated sense of self-importance to kind of proselytize, like that is often religious psychosis. And I just, yeah, anyways, if you want to see that, maybe look up that clip from Joshua Bassett if that interests you. But anyways, I think this is very Shawn Mendes coded, but I love the title of this song. It's called Dumb and Poetic. And I feel like that really encompasses Lindsay and I's vibe, relationship. Yes, I am Stephanie when she started hanging out with Gia aesthetically, but I feel like mentally I'm kind of dumb. And the way I think is often kind of poetic. And I love this song not because I identify with the song, but because I like how it kind of skewers people that are really holier than thou and read a lot of self-help and save all your breath for your floor meditation. You're so empathetic. You make a great wife. I promise those mushrooms aren't changing your life. Fuck with my head like it's some kind of fetish. I don't think you understand just because you act like one doesn't make you a man. I was like, oh, her lyrics are good. Her songs are catchy. They're punchy. I'm just a big fan of Sabrina. Sorry, I was typing to my Dancing with the Stars group text. That's not a lie. Guys, I shouted this out briefly last week, and I feel bad I didn't do bigger to do because I want to, like, show you around. But my chair, see, this is my cute boucle chair, and my shelves and my rug, which you can totally see on this YouTube of my chest and above, is from All Modern, and they are so, so nice to help furnish this space and give me, like, the shelving to make my Watch What Happens Live clubhouse of my dreams. The shelves go all the way across the wall in the room, and so I can do different like angles for Patreon or Taylor Swift night, and I'm just like so excited and grateful. And I just wanted to tell you about All Modern. They believe that designing your space should be simple and easy, and they have the best of modern furniture and decor all in one place with styles from Scandi and mid-century to minimalist and maximalist. And I love that point because modern doesn't have to be minimalist. Look at these shelves structurally are very modern, but obviously I decorated them in a very maximalist fashion. But when you walk into the room, it looks, believe it or not, very like clean and updated, and like I'm obsessed. And not to mention fast and free shipping. That means you can upgrade your space in days, not weeks. And that is true for me when I was like, I'm going to launch season 2 in 2 weeks. Got to pick out some stuff. I think these amazing high-end shelves were on my front porch within like 2 or 3 days. And you can shop now at allmodern.com. So anyways, if you want to watch on YouTube, you can go to my YouTube channel. Just look up Be There in 5 Podcasts and subscribe again, just so it's not sad. And feel free to clip and share anytime. It really makes the world go round. And otherwise, yeah, rate 5 stars, tag a friend, share in a story, DM me anytime, email podcast@BeThereIn5.com. All right, you guys, we're going to thank our advertisers, which help keep this show afloat. So please use our codes, mention us if they ask you after the surveys, all those things. You can always find our codes on my website, BeThereIn5.com, as well as in the highlights on my podcast Instagram at BeThereIn5. You can find me at Kate Kennedy. And I hope you enjoy this conversation that is dumb and poetic with Lyndsay Rush of at Mary Oliver's Drunk Cousin. Okay, this advertiser is actually one we reached out to ourselves because when I was about to give birth, I told my husband, like, I'm so nervous about eating. If I'm going to be breastfeeding, if I'm going to be recovering, like, what am I going to eat? And he did all this research beforehand of all of these, like, ready-made meal services, like, no cooking involved, right? Because I sometimes like to have groceries and recipes, and I sometimes like to have just, like, ready-made microwave stuff, which, like, you know, microwave stuff can be, like, a little hit or miss. But he did so much research. We tried all these different things, like, in the weeks leading up, and we found this company called Cook Unity, and it is one of my favorite things in the world, you guys. Cook Unity provides legitimately restaurant-quality food from award-winning chefs delivered to your door at a fraction of the cost and time you're spending now. I mean, I feel like from the jump, I'll just tell you cookunity.com/BeThereIn5 or enter code BeThereIn5 before checkout for 50% off 50 your first week. But Cook Unity, it really stands out to me because just of the taste and quality of the meals. Last night, I ate pulled pork and esquites. It was like street corn. That was so good. I went downstairs to my husband and I was like, I never, ever say that something I eat in the home is as good as takeout. I'm always lobbying for delivery for takeout. These meals are so good. They have this mushroom pasta that is from the gods. That's not in the copy, but that's how I personally feel about it. You're supporting, in many cases, like local chefs, local suppliers, and it's easy, it's effortless. You choose from literal hundreds of meals prepared by these award-winning chefs, or you can let them choose for you. No meal planning, no cleanup. They are delivered fully cooked. You just warm them up in the microwave. And it's a very flexible, commitment-free subscription that honestly, like, it isn't hard giving you the runaround to, like, pause, skip deliveries, all that stuff that subscriptions notoriously can be very difficult. And subscriptions start as low as $11 a meal. So in case you're wondering, this past week we got the BBQ pulled pork with esquites corn salad, grilled flank steak grain bowl, grilled chicken and quinoa bowl, al pastor chicken bowl, blackened ribeye, and a lamb burger with pearl couscous. I'm a big couscouser. And each better than the next. Huge, huge fan. The chefs you see on TV and in five-star kitchens are the chefs that make your Cook Unity meals. They wouldn't lead you astray. And you can browse the menu by protein, chef, cuisine, or dietary need, and you're sure to find food you'll love. Take a load off and let Cook Unity handle dinner. Affordable food crafted by award-winning chefs delivered to your door. Go to cookunity.com/BeThereIn5 or enter code BeThereIn5 before checkout for 50% off your first week. That's 50% off your first week by using code BeThereIn5 or going to cookunity.com/BeThereIn5. Special guest in this ad. Say hi, Tugboat. What do you look forward to, Tugboat, as summer transitions into fall? Are you ready to cozy up with cooler weather? I sure am. I'll be first in line for all things pumpkin spice. Whether you're ready for new fall routines or starting to plan that perfect Halloween costume, Pair Eyewear offers infinite possibilities starting at just $60, including your prescription. Plus, you'll get 15% off using code BTIF at paireyewear.com. Pair Eyewear has a variety of unique designs that will add a bit of fall whimsy to your collection. I have a pair called the Murphy that I'm obsessed with, and I like them so much that I have a pair that's prescription. I have a pair that's not prescription. So if I feel like wearing my contacts, because sometimes I feel sleepy in glasses, I can still wear them because they're just that cute. And what's so cool about Pair Eyewear is they have these snap-on toppers. So I feel like I should demo. I have my Murphys. Am I cute or what? Okay, black. Sorry if you're not on video. I'm modeling these currently. Black. Green. It's like you don't know what hit you. And if you can imagine, it's like 6 a.m. I'm going to the airport. I'm tired. I'm groggy. I don't feel like putting my contacts in because I want to sleep on the plane. I can wear these and just pop on a sun topper and be on my merry way. And it's one pair of glasses. And you just stick the topper in the case. They have their own pocket. for the topper lenses or just the frames. I think I've told you this before, but I absolutely love these for kids. I have nieces and nephews that wear glasses, and I think at first it can be like a hard transition, but if you could be wearing anything you want, from Barbie to Disney to pink to glitter to sports to Marvel, like what a cool form of self-expression. And like, obviously we can't be buying a million pairs of glasses. They're so expensive. Like when I got them in 3rd grade, I had this one pair that I wore like for an eternity, which were gold and tortoise. Very mature choice for like a, 9-year-old. But if you want your kid to be able to express themselves and switch out the different glasses for the holidays, how cool to be able to do so with Pair Eyewear. And they have so many fun whimsy ones now. But if you're an adult, even go to like their bestsellers and you'll see like how they have like really cool reflective sun tops that are like blue and silver. They have like dip-dyed ombre lenses. Truly, they have such fun stuff in different combinations, and you can step into fall in a snap. And they're built for everyday durability and versatility, and new designs drop every month, including fun collabs. So fall into a new routine with infinite possibilities from Pair Eyewear. Go to paireyewear.com and use code BTIF for 15% off your first pair. And support the show by mentioning that Be There in 5 sent you in your post-checkout survey. That's PAIR, eyewear.com code. All right, you guys, today I have on Lyndsay Rush, a comedy writer, co-founder of the branding agency Obedient, and the poet behind the popular Instagram account at Mary Oliver's Drunk Cousin. Her work's been featured in a few small publications like New York Magazine, New York Times, Reductress, McSweeney's. And she has a book coming out September 17th titled The Thing That We've All Been Worried About Being or Accused Of, and the thing that I apologize for my studio being in. Honestly, my outfit, I'm wearing a matching set that could not be more. And it's kind of the embodiment of women getting comfortable taking up space and decorating that space how they please. And her brilliant poetry collection is called A Bit Much. And to quote myself, because I blurbed it, I loved it so much, a bit much has the kind of warmth, wisdom, and wit that will leave you crying, laughing, or cry laughing. Lyndsay Rush's poetry brilliantly blends both the playful and poignant parts of womanhood through sharp observations, creative wordplay, and killer punchlines, placing you back in the scenes of your life when you most needed to feel seen. Every woman who has been made to feel like they deserve less will cherish a bit much. Please welcome back to the Be There in 5 podcast, Lyndsay Rush.
Hi. I'm an alum. I am. This is my 3rd time, I think, unofficially.
Oh, yes. It is your 3rd time.
Or no. You were on our former business podcast. Then me and Allie were on your podcast. This is just my 2nd official time, maybe.
No, it's your 3rd because we did an episode called All Too Unwell live from the Michigan coastline.
That's right. From the
hottest
what we talked about destination. Sounds like maybe Taylor Swift. Just a wild guess.
You know what's funny is, so as I mentioned in the intro, Lyndsay has amassed a huge following, and her poems are insanely popular with their handle at Mary Oliver's Drunk Cousin. And people constantly send me your poems, and they're like, "Oh my God, you should follow this account." And I almost want to be like, I found her first. Like, I feel like I went to see your band in a basement, and then you got on TRL type thing. I'm like, I've always known she's funny. I've always known she's a great writer, but I'm really defensive about you being my friend in real life because you're such an internet phenomenon. But I knew you when.
You did. You knew me when we met we basically met in a basement. It was like the lobby of a hotel.
Yeah,
right?
At a book fair.
Yeah.
No, it wasn't a book fair. It was like a Valentine's craft fair.
So it was a little market.
Just bopping around. It was like a little market, and you had seen my book box on Ashley Spivey's story. Like, truly the most random. It was a very serendipitous moment to find 2 people that are still my good friends to this day. And I don't meet a lot of adult friends in the wild, and I can't believe we actually followed up with one another, because that does not sound like something I would do.
It doesn't sound like something I would do. It had to have been Allie. The linchpin for sure.
Yes, she is what got us together and has kept us afloat. Because Lyndsay and I, what we noticed when we first met, it's almost weird. Like, we're both Enneagram 4s, purity culture survivors, lovers of wordplay, a matching set. Now, we had kids one day apart.
That's what I was just going to say. And we have the same publisher.
We have this. Oh, we do. Yeah. Oh, in the book, a book and a baby.
Yeah, book and it. We both had books and babies the same year. Allie says we're single white femaling each other. We just keep being like,
are.
"What are you doing?" And it's going great.
We had babies one day apart, and we've kind of like, it's kind of crazy to know someone not only who had a baby a similar time frame as you, but literally to the day, because kids' phases are like day to day, week to week. So we could be like, hey, is your newborn being like, eh, eh, all night?
You remember we were like, is your newborn peeing outside of their diapers? Because we also had sons. So like we got to be like, what is going on? It was like an emergency text line.
The little flutter things should be outside the like, I think we both didn't really know a lot. Yeah.
No.
And then baby stuff's like so different than toddlerdom. How are you feeling post first birthday?
Yeah, it feels like our texts went from how do we keep them alive or how do we get them to sleep or eat, and then now it's like how do we keep them entertained and or from hurting themselves. Like, yes. It's just, I'm thriving a little. As he's gotten older, I keep feeling like I'm thriving more and more, just because now he's like a full-on person. Like, yeah, there's feedback, there's all that sort of stuff. Newborn life was very challenging for me. I was just like, what is this? And I was thinking the other day, I feel like everybody told me that the solution to newborns was just to wear them. They were like, just wear the baby. But I was like, I don't have anywhere to go. Like during maternity leave, I was like, where? I think that's really helpful probably for people who have other children. Yeah. Or are like out and about. Anyway, I just remember being like, I thought I'd be wearing this baby a lot more. But anytime I'd wear him, I was like, I don't really have any dishes to do. It's just me and him.
That is such a good point. I know I didn't use a lot of the shit I thought I was going to. And I feel like we both found it was maybe a lot different than like the way people described. I think we're bored a lot.
Yes.
It was very understimulating.
Yes. And maybe I wonder, so I definitely struggled with postpartum anxiety, and I think a touch of postpartum depression. So I would watch these moms online just being like, I'm just recovering, I'm relaxing. They're laying around. I don't know. I could not really relax. It was not not that anyone's like, oh, postpartum is relaxing per se, but when there's one baby, I kept being like, the math doesn't add up. He's either sleeping or eating or laying there, but I was not chill. I looked back in my poetry document, and rejected title was called Taking Care of Myself, because the iconic sleep person name is Kara and hers is Taking Care of Babies. And it was all about how I was letting myself cry it out, which my doula friend has a really funny saying that I think is like one of the best pieces of advice I've heard. And she says, let the non-birthing partners cry it out. And she makes it for cis relationships. She says, let husbands cry it out, meaning let men figure out the newborn baby on their own without always feeling like you have to rescue them, because eventually it's a very hard instinct to fight. And I found that it was one of the most painful parts was watching my husband struggle, if he ever did, to like get him to sleep or to feed him or do certain things. And I would want to be like, I know I could do that in like 30 seconds and then everyone would be okay. But I was like, it is not my job to like take care of them both. Take care of both. Like in that way, and being able to let him do it his own way also, even not like, he prefers blah, blah, blah. Because I was like, well, who knows? They have to figure out their own rhythm. That was really challenging for me, but important.
It is interesting because I think that the spouse goes through, you had 10 months to like get used to the idea. And I don't think that it's really reality for them until it happens. And I think that there's like an adjustment period or like a period of grief for them that goes a little undetected because it's such an intense experience for particularly the woman, especially if you're like breastfeeding and shit. I think it was an adjustment for him that I feel like we are kind of dismissive of husbands sometimes and like how it affects their life and changes their life because it doesn't change their like body and mind as much. But like, no, I think it's a tough transition. You trust and know your husband would figure it out. And I've only met your husband once, but trust him implicitly because if you recall, we went to a bar and he was like buying your friends a round of drinks and he was like, oh, well, I'll get the tab or like I'll get you a drink. But then he caveats with, if you want, oh, I don't want you to feel like you're not a strong, empowered woman that can't buy her own drink.
He was like, I don't want to take away their agency. And I was like, to buy a beer.
Was that 2021? I feel like everybody was, trying to reinvent how they approach social discourse in a more conscious way. And I was like, honestly, good for him. Because that, like, even just putting thought into how I might receive that charmed me to no end.
That is Caleb in a nutshell. Will you say your toddler experience so far? Because we've like texted about it, but we haven't like talked.
Oh, so, okay, to your point about it being kind of personality based, I think that I did fine with a baby because I don't need to leave my house a lot. I don't know, I was old enough and had done enough stuff. I didn't have FOMO. Like, I kind of liked being in the house nesting, and I liked kind of watching him like figure out the world, and it was understimulating and boring at times, and then the sleep stuff was hard, but like I was pretty fine with the baby. With a toddler, I'm finding myself incredibly overstimulated. I have so much anxiety about him hurting himself. I don't know how to keep him entertained. And it used to just be like he could sit and like poke at my face and be entertained. When he was a baby, I got a lot of stuff done while he was just chilling. You can't get anything done. You have to be fully engaged. And meanwhile, when I'm kind of half-assing it or like I'm half paying attention, I'm like, wait, I'm responsible for teaching him how to be a person. And I'm not doing the thing where it's like tree, door, countertop. I'm just kind of trying to get by in the way that I think a lot of people do with the infant stuff. Like, I'm less present now because I feel a little bit more overwhelmed, and I'm concerned that I'm not teaching him how to be a person correctly too.
No.
There's a lot of different philosophies, and I think that the methodology of how you approach being a person is kind of a mind fuck, where like there's how I would just parent as me, being like, don't hit people. But then it's like you read shit about how to best communicate to a person that can't speak. And I would have to re-engineer my brain to run it through a filter that I'm like, who has time to completely overhaul their instincts to parent better?
Right. And to not get to like keep your cool if they hit you by accident. Or Dawson is experimenting with biting and pinching. More so in just a like, what's going to happen if I do this, less out of anger, and to try to control your own reaction when you're like, I've had a bad day, or I'm hungry, or it's like, this is what I mean by personality type. I also think
I've had a bad day. You're hungry.
You want to bite an arm. Imagine how I feel. I had to go be an adult.
I'm literally eating Uncrustables. I had a busy day too.
That has been fun though, sharing food.
Ugh,
now that they
such
can
good
like
food.
That's great. I heard myself yesterday, and we were talking about making adult friends earlier, but I feel like making mom friends has been shockingly the easiest thing ever. I am cleaning up. Caleb and I are like, what? Do people love us? Like, we have more, we're turning down offers, Kate.
Okay, not my experience. Tell me everything. Where are you meeting these people?
We are mostly meeting them at breweries or bars, which sounds...
Okay.
And parks, I guess. But
and like you're vibing with the husband and wife?
So far, we've got one promising couple that it's like both are 10s. But no one has really fully let us down, but we'll be like, he's more into it or I'm more into it or,
right.
You know. But I think what the common denominator that's been nice, for example, this couple that we're really courting hard. So creepy. We met them at like one of those little like, you know, when there's a bunch of food stalls or food trucks all in one place. There's one of those places in Nashville called The Wash, and it's like 6 little food places and then a bar and outdoor seating. And their 3-year-old girl was scooping up rocks into an abandoned dog water bowl, and Dawson was scooping up rocks into an old cup. And they were like at a table, and we all like looked over and we were like, oh, both of our children are somewhat feral. And we like started laughing. And so like you can sort of be like, we have that in common, a parenting style, or we're trying to be out.
So
and
I
it's
should
very like,
use the
it's like a
baby
meet
as
cute.
a bridge.
Yes.
I feel like I'm maybe not letting him explore in public enough to even have
let him get up in people's, well, and then I feel like it's like you got to be at some close-ish tables. And then,
so
but then you were saying
feel like everything happens for a Riesling. What puts you in that state?
What
had
state?
Me at Merlot. No, we were kind of joking earlier, but I actually like might explore this in a future episode because I feel like there's some things that we just will culturally shit on that are maybe a little misunderstood. And I do think a lot of wine mom culture is really stupid. The deeper meaning is that a lot of women are fundamentally unsupported and many are doing an unfair share of domestic labor while also working full time. And whether you're working full time, staying at home is a full time job. I mean, both. Like, you just are doing the absolute most and don't always feel supported. And at the end of the day, it's like, yeah, you kind of want something to like take the load off and, you know, regulate your nervous system. And like, I deeply understand mommy juice because you have a crazy day, then you have the crazy witching hours and the feeding. And I mean, I've never vacuumed or swept so much in my life. There's so many crumbs.
That's crazy.
And it's just like so overstimulating that when they go to bed, I feel like I drink more weekday wine now because I just need something to literally take the edge off. And I got to find another hobby or activity.
I know. And for me, and I find that it's as much to take the edge off as it is to have something like a treat, something that is signifying like I'm done with work and now I'm in this other like it's marking the passage of time. I'm not in this job anymore. I'm in this job, but it's okay because there's like a fun little treat which I should explore. I was like, what did I grow up? My sisters and I always joke. My mom was not an almond mom, but like a accidentally early crunchy mom. Like when we had tacos at home, it was with ground turkey.
Wow.
Big, like, and now I still prefer that. However,
bland.
You know, it is.
You know,
it's an unsettling color.
That's like white people taco night on another level.
Like, picture what ground turkey looks like when it's cooked. It's like white, like ground chicken with seasoned packets on it. It is visually very upsetting. But because of that, and on weekends, on Friday nights, we would order pizzas, which made me very excited. But my sister and I got to share a can of Coca-Cola. Like we were just not a soda junk food family. And now, you know, potato chips are like a core part of my personality. And so I think this treat culture or like this thing signifies this happens to me in my mommy juice era because it feels like a thing. I'm like, it's okay. I've made this thing. And so I should, and I've tried to trick myself with non-alcoholic spritzes and stuff in a wine glass. And that does work a lot of times, but then it's just, I don't know. I just understand. I think it's more like I understand it now.
Yeah. Yeah. I know. And it's like, yes, I think that the passage of time thing is interesting. It's like, it's changing shifts.
That's what it is. It's like without a break usually. I'm sure you are similar to me that like as soon as childcare is over, for the most part, there's no like time in between unless Dawson's afternoon nap has somehow extended a little bit. It's really just like Superman cape off, tie on. Like it's just changing of the guard very quickly. And so that can be hard for dreamers like us.
Dreamers like us.
I really do think though, I'm like the thing I miss most about my pre-childhood life is having an empty head.
I was just about to say that. My biggest problem with being a mom is headspace. Is the thing I miss. I don't miss my previous life. I miss my previous mental real estate. To dream.
Just let me look out the window.
Discover.
I reference it often. Your barometric pressures poem you wrote about rain, because it reminds me of a story my mom tells about me when she caught me looking out the window and it was raining and I was 3, she says. And she said, "What's going on, Linz?" And I said, "Nothing, just thinking about the world." Just dreaming. And you don't really
what a burden on a young girl.
Like, and it's like narrator, the world was like snacks at Barbie. But
so I actually don't even know this because you used to live in Chicago and we hung out all the time. We would get high and analyze Taylor Swift lyrics in a backyard during quarantine. One of my favorite memories. I feel like I don't know the exact story behind Mary Oliver. And will you tell me how you started it and what was the inspo?
I will. Let's see. So it would have been when I was still living in Chicago. So you and I have in common that we as kids and teens wrote poems.
Yeah.
And I call these like adult poems for no reason other than the fact that my poetry doesn't rhyme, and all the stuff I wrote as a teen like aggressively rhymed. And so I like to say that I wrote my first adult poem. It was towards the end of 2021. And it was sort of an accident. And I had stumbled upon Kate Bear. I went through years prior my Rupi Kaur era, like a lot of us did online.
We all did. Mm-hmm.
A lot of like Insta poetry started popping up in the last maybe 10 years. But I just had never thought of it because I always thought poetry was serious. Like it just seemed very, just not really my style, or definitely not my style of writing. And then I started experimenting with it, and I started taking old Twitter jokes of mine and using them as either like the opening line or the punchline. And I was like, what if a poem was funny? What if and I'm certainly not the first to write humorous poetry, but that was my start. And then I was sharing it on my own Instagram, and then that started to feel, I was like, oh, like my aunt is commenting, or like so-and-so from high school. I was just like, this isn't a very pure place for me to experiment with this. It felt like overly earnest or personal. And I was like, I don't know that these people are even my target audience. So I knew I wanted to start a dedicated Instagram, and I knew I wanted the handle to be, I like put on my marketing hat because I'm in marketing and branding, and was like, what would let people know instantly what this is and how it's different? And so I was like, well, who's the most iconic poet who is she takes small observations and adds meaning to them, which is something I like to think that I do. So it's Mary Oliver. And then I was like, I'm like her drunk cousin. And I don't love alcohol humor. I think it's like first note. It's, I'm not like
it's like
into
bathroom
that.
Humor.
Yes, which also hate. Bathroom humor, pranks, wine jokes.
Never.
It just felt like the funniest thing. And so I was like, all right, I'll do it. The drunk cousin. And then it sort of stuck. And it's funny, my first viral quote piece was called She's a Bit Much, which is what the book now takes its title from. And that was when the account really took off. But it's funny because just similar to how people think your name is Beth, people used to think my name was Mary. And so you're like, it's this great thing because it has its own brand and notoriety. And then when I got my publishing deal, they were like, we have to sort of edge it back to your name because we're not putting Mary Oliver's drunk cousin as the author name. So that's
that on the
long
cover?
Story.
The handle?
On the back, I think.
You've got it. Can you kick us off to talk about the book by do you have like one of your childhood poems in front of you? I can read you one of mine.
Gosh. Yes, it aligns with snacks. And I wrote this. I just found it the other day. I think I must have been 9. And it's in cursive, which what a lost art. I know you talk a lot about hot girl handwriting. Maybe I'll send you this for analysis. At the time, my grandparents had just moved to Tucson, Arizona, like a cool retirement community with a pool, and we were going to visit them. And I was very excited, but you will soon hear that most of my excitement was about the snacks. This is called Arizona, parentheses, no turning back. Sounds dark. There was turning back. We did go home. Okay.
Very over my head cable car. Like
very, very. We're going to Arizona, as you can see. I'll be glad to get there. I'll laugh. He, he, he. Someone was like, she will write a book one day. I'm excited to get there and eat and eat. I'll be so large I won't fit in the seat. The words I love you will escape from my lips as I see my dear grandma with her small little hips. Very small, like Kim Kardashian height, like just a tiny woman with her small lips. We'll be looking down at the sky beneath while eating candy that's rotting my teeth. Oh, I must be in the airplane. Candy. When we get off the plane, we're sure to be hot. We'll go shopping for bananas and apples. Not hot.
I saw that coming.
Okay, we're coming to a close here. We'll arrive at the house and have a big snack. Then we'll go to our room and start to unpack because we're in Arizona and there's no turning back.
Wow.
Wow. Some deep themes there.
I think that we both have a similar fixation on treats and food because of scarcity of not being allowed unlimited junk food in life. I also was very obsessed with snack foods and looked forward to trips mostly for food. And to this day, I describe the way I travel as Kate killing time between meals because, like, I'm just eating. Like, I don't know. I feel you with that. And honestly, Arizona sounds like the place to be. What an effective
apples and bananas
tool for tourism.
When
you were a kid and got the internet, did you submit poems to poetry.com?
No. You did?
Oh, yeah. Let me find.
So cool.
Okay. This is to certify the International Library of Poetry has published Beautiful by Catherine Kennedy. I don't know if this is a real entity, but it's a plaque. And my mom bought it from poetry.com. And I'm pretty sure they just publish everyone's poem and then trick you into thinking you're published. It's called Beautiful. It won the Richmond Times-Dispatch poetry contest when I was 13. And I was mortified because my mom had me submit 2 poems to this contest. And I didn't know that they would publish them in the paper. So I went to school and everyone's like, read your poem. And it was humiliating. And they picked both of my poems to be in the paper. One was called The Mysterious Mess. And it was just about me having a messy room. But this was like really intense, called Beautiful. Who really are you? What do you see? Does it really matter what people think of you and me? Of course not, some do say. But why do they try to be perfect in every which way? Painting their faces, buying lots of clothes, trying to hide flaws of which nobody knows. Guess what? The word is out. It's what's on the inside that really does count. I'm like, I really think I had something there. I'm like, bet nobody's thought of this before. Beauty on the inside. I forgot to ask you, why did you dedicate the book to Michelle Pfeiffer?
Because she was the first big celebrity to share any of my work, and she put it on her like main Instagram, like her feed. She's done that twice now.
Oh my gosh. You know
Michelle
what's
Pfeiffer.
funny is I this whole time thought your book was dedicated to Jodie Foster. Do you feel like that they're kind of the same person?
I was just doing this yesterday with Megan about another celebrity. Dakota Johnson's mom is Melanie Griffith, right?
Uh-huh.
And Melanie Griffith reminds me of another blonde woman of her age, actress, that has shared my work, and I get them confused.
Michelle Pfeiffer?
And we're back. I know I have it somewhere because in my, like, you know, what's it called when we put our books out to submission, going on submission? Yeah. I had like shared by celebrities and I like listed all of them, and I know maybe it was Melanie Griffith.
I think it might have been Melanie Griffith.
I think it might have been. Am I one degree away from Dakota Johnson, who is like, I never get told I look like celebrities, and I certainly don't look like her now, but sometimes, because I think it's the Roman nose, I get a Dakota Johnson.
Oh my gosh, that's a great celeb to look like.
It's great. And who's the other one that's also much hotter than I am? She was on Kaylee Cuoco.
Oh.
Sometimes I get Kaylee Cuoco.
I feel like it's always exciting if it's somebody that you think is hotter than you. I feel like that's not usually the game when people say, you look just like, and I hold my breath.
I mean, as we all know, the very worst one is if they're like, it's someone you don't know. I have tracked down things. If they're like, does she not, or it reminds me of, that always gets me. They're like, does she not remind you so much of so-and-so? And you're like, is that the most annoying person you've ever met?
And then they show you a picture.
They're like, she does this thing where she never stops talking. You're like, I do remind you of her.
And I'm like, is that a picture before she got her braces off? Or like, is that, not to be a bitch, but...
That's the after?
Yeah.
Sweet.
Not to be a monster. It's just, you know, we all are operating in a world of intense scrutiny. And we just want to, I'm looking for a compliment anywhere I can get it. Absolutely. And when I see something not aspirational, it's a little bit tough. You know what the Jodie Foster-Michelle Pfeiffer combo reminds me of is you made a great observation in one of your poems, Dermot Mulroney, Dylan McDermott.
Thank you. And they look nothing alike, but those names are tricky. SNL did a whole bit on it. It was like a whole game show that was just called Dylan McDermott or Dermot Mulroney, and people had to like
Wait,
the contestants were like guessing, and they'd be like, no, yeah. So I'm not the first to make that keen observation. Dermot.
One time I did a podcast asking people the things that they mixed up. One of them was Dermot Mulroney and Dylan McDermott, Burt Reynolds, Kurt Russell, and Jeff Bridges, which is also like a pretty
look a lot alike.
Just like older dudes.
Yeah, you're just of a certain age, which, yeah.
But it was also funny, like, because it kind of shows people's verbal associations, like people mixing up Zamboni and gazebo, falafel and fellatio. Like, what?
There's a word you use well and often, which I guess is apropos, ubiquitous, that in my brain always for some reason means synonymous, which it doesn't. It just means everywhere, right? Like,
yeah,
it feels like I'm waiting for someone to say like, that's ubiquitous with, which is never how you'd use it.
You know what's funny is I use ubiquitous so much. I wrote a note to myself to stop using ubiquitous so much. I have words, they're like SAT words that I like that better describe something, I think, but then they're not commonly used, so I think they stand out when you overuse them. And as you hear yourself talk a lot on podcasts, like that stands out to you and it starts to bother me.
Yeah, it can always, I talk with my business partner and our mutual friend, Allie, so often that I can tell when she's learned a new word. The other day it was florid, which is a gorgeous, it means just like flowery speech. Elaborately or excessively intricate or complicated. Florid.
Good for Allie for continuing to read. You know, I need to... I need to read.
This one goes out to reading, man.
Yeah, I actually do think that, like, when I'm in a phase of output, I'm not reading and taking in enough stuff, one in, one out. I need to be exchanging more what goes in my brain and what I'm putting out, so it's not the same.
You're not feeding the beast.
Not feeding the beast.
But I'm curious about this in terms of writing. I purposely did not read any works that seemed in my genre while I was working on my manuscript because I'm so terrified to adopt a device or voice that is not mine, that I would not have realized and not have properly credited, that I was, people are often like, oh, who are your favorite poets? And I'm like, gulp. I don't know because I avoided.
I've never read a poem.
Nobody? What's a poem? Who asked?
Shel Silverstein.
I do have a poem in the book called Make Like a Tree in Love. And I eventually, it gets to the point where the punchline is, this is getting dangerously close to a Shel Silverstein fan fiction. Because I'm like, who can sit on the stump and fight shade? And I was like, wait a second, I am absolutely co-opting that work.
This is where the sidewalk mends.
Like, this whole episode is going to be us making horrendous puns and just giggling.
Of references from 1992. I was terrified to consume anything while I was writing my book because I am so terrified of being accused of copying something, being derivative. I think this is an Enneagram 4 syndrome. We're obsessed with originality.
Yeah.
But I also think we've learned through each other that people that love wordplay, there's a lot of like low-hanging fruit when it comes to wordplay that makes it hard to have truly original thoughts. And and when I was looking at my book titles and stuff, there's always somebody that has thought of a way to simply do a turn of phrase the way and I almost had to get over that. Yeah. So it almost is better to not consume a lot while you're creating, and then because then it's at least honest that you really did make it from an organic place. And if there happen to be coincidences, that's fine. But it kills me when I come across something and then I know I've seen it. It makes me want to die. Okay, people of the world, spice up your life. But busty girls of the world, Evelyn and Bobbie, up your life. Because this brand saved my bust before pregnancy, during pregnancy, postpartum, and beyond. Evelyn and Bobbie gets it. They were founded by a 34G woman who was sick of the pain and discomfort caused by traditional underwire bras and the lack of support available in the wire-free bra department, which is kind of the only thing I'm working with these days. And the underwire technology in bras, this is crazy to me, is 91 years old. Like all great ideas, she decided there had to be a better way. And they spent years in R&D to create a bra that solved problems instead of creating it, and replaced it with this proprietary EB core technology that is now in every single one of their wire-free bras. It's a 3D sling in their EB core technology that was meticulously engineered to lift and support from below using the principles of, it's called biomimicry, aka using nature in our bodies to guide their design to be able to comfortably support up to a K-cup. Women have more important things to worry about than their bras, obviously. Their founder started the company with a mission to make a perfectly forgettable bras, and I mean that in the best way possible. I forget I am wearing Evelyn and Bobbie bras and underwear on the reg. And I love that they are reinventing support and comfort with their patented bra technology, with their magical moldable bra. I love that they also have this mission where they're like, your body is perfect as it is. It's the bras that have been getting it wrong. Like, you don't need to change to fit into bras. Bras should mold to your body, and they really do. Using the heat of your body, your bra will start out a bit too tight and then mold to your unique measurements over your first 3 wears with their proprietary moldable fabric and technology. And it can even be hand stretched to any area where you need a little bit more flexibility. If your right boob is bigger than your left, just, give it a good stretch. And they have easy 60-day returns. Wear it, watch it, stretch it, no questions asked, free shipping, and a team of dedicated experts to help you find the perfect fit. I am obsessed with their boy short underwear and their high-waisted thongs as well. I have matching ones. I just think they're super cute, super light wear, don't even know they're there. And I don't know. I love that it's founded by a woman who shares our plight and went out and sought out to solve a problem. Just even the fact that 13% of patents are awarded to women in the U.S. is wild. And it took Evelyn and Bobbie 10 years to develop and hold 6 utility patents in the bra category. This is the first structural replacement for underwear that's patented since 1931. I think that's really cool and impressive. This is not a gimmick or a random millennial startup. This is science. So if you want to give Evelyn and Bobbie a try, please do. Evelyn and Bobbie is giving Be There in 5 listeners an exclusive discount code to try Evelyn and Bobbie bras risk-free for yourself. Use code Be There in 5 on evelynbobbie.com for $15 off your first bra purchase. That's EVELYNBOBBIE.com for $15 off your first bra purchase with code Be There in 5. I loved how you turned around everything's downhill after 40. You're like, wait a second, downhill's the best part. Have you ever been on a bike?
Yeah. Yeah, and it's so funny. One of the, back to Michelle Pfeiffer, when She's a Bit Much went semi-viral online, and I was like, oh, I had taken this phrase meant to diminish women and flipped it. And then what if I could do that with other things? And I found myself doing that with other work. And in the book, then I have She's So Sensitive, which is sort of the follow-up to that. And She's Not a Serious Artist, that says that, sort of the joke is that I'm having fun and that I consider delight a marker of success. And so I liked doing that with aging. There's one called Reverse Aging the Easy Way that I took that off of. That was a headline on one of those grocery store magazines that is all about diet secrets. It'll show, a tiny little waist, all the Oprah before and afters. And I was like, what is the easy way to reverse aging? And then the whole poem is about doing things that we did when we were a kid, cutting our sandwich into fun shapes. And it ends by saying, I hope when I'm 80, I'm doing something, I don't remember what it is, something childlike, even though they tried all my life to convince me that play was something I ought to outgrow. And I just really feel like in the topic of aging, that now is what I'm more focused on, is quality of life versus when I feel like all that's shoved down our throat. There's no industry that can make a ton of money off of us enjoying ourselves. Right. So they want to make us shrink or not have wrinkles or do those sort of things. But yeah, it's a crazy. Well, and okay, I don't know if you felt this way. I've also been grappling with the idea of at every big marker of success, I should be the hottest I've ever been. So it's your wedding, you better, you not only have found your potential soulmate, if you believe in that sort of thing. So, well, even scratch that. You have found someone with whom you both want to commit your lives together. And also, you should be the smallest, hottest, tannest, all those things along with it. And I've found I'm not in the best shape right now. I don't feel like I'm in love with my skin or my hair. And I'm about to launch this book and I have all these conflicting feelings of oh no, you forgot to get hot. And you're like, babe, you wrote a book, you did a whole thing, and that full stop is enough. But it's just so odd that that's in the back of my head.
Oh, totally. And Like, are you having trouble picking out what you're wearing for tour? That seems like bookish but cute.
Yes, because you catified it, and you were like on stage at comedy venues, which allowed you, I think, like
to wear a Coach tracksuit.
The luxury of wearing
that was $500.
It was perfect though, and I feel like it photographed really well.
It did.
Like the whole thing was like.
That's because you're a millennial. You're like, that was adorable. Head to toe Coach print.
I would kill for it. I know when you posted on stories that you're like, do I get rid of my tour outfits? I'm like, hand on the buy button. But at first I thought I was like, oh, I'm a bit much. I'm going to wear this like sparkly pantsuit or do all the like, but I also want to look like myself. And I'm a bit much in personality, but I'm not all that wild in my fashion choices. Haven't really ever expressed myself in that way. And so what I ended up doing is I am getting this shirt bedazzle embroidered, and they're embroidering a Doritos chip bag coming out of my pocket as one of the elements.
Gorgeous.
It's basically going to be like a shacket sort of shirt, and they're like doing stuff to the lapel, and we're making like pickles and bagels are going to be the buttons, and like it's just going to be like where
do you go
clownish
to get a bespoke? You know, like elementary school teachers have buttons that are pencils and apples.
As I heard myself describing it. It's like
where do you go to get that made?
There's just people who like I looked at the subject line today, and it was like potato chip embroidery project. And she's very excited. I found
chips out of the pocket. There's a pickle buttons.
We're not sure exactly what we're going to do with the buttons, but I was like, what are other things I love? And then I was like, is this getting too food centric? Like, it's not like I'm a chef. But so then she's embroidering the book title on the lapel, and we're going to do something to the cuffs. She's sending me over the mock-ups today. She's like turning it around very fast. Because of course, I'm sure you're like this. In the middle of the night, I was like, what if I had a funky denim shirt? Like, can anyone make this happen?
Oh, it's a denim shirt.
Denim shirt.
So it's like a Warner Brothers Looney Tunes of a bit much.
Yes, and one of my very favorite sweatshirts I own is a Chicago Bears Tasmanian Devil crossover. So this is a long time coming.
I think all of your favorite foods should be peeking out of the buttons.
And like what like we need something on like, you know how like the back we need like the whole gang.
The whole gang.
Yes, that's
honestly,
exactly right.
It sounds
Kate.
Awesome.
It is the Looney Tunes. Yeah, I know. And I was like, if I love it, maybe I'll make a few. I was like, what am I going to do with a bunch of them?
I think that's an amazing idea. I cannot wait to see it.
Signature item.
I was going to ask if, as a moderator, I needed to wear anything to coordinate, but I'll have to go into my Warner Brothers archives.
Yeah, you're going to have to just please find your denim. Warner Brothers.
I think chambrae's comeback is like one of the most fascinating things, because in the 90s, my impression of denim shirts was utilitarian Warner Brothers,
Tim Allen?
Unfashionable teacher, Tim Allen.
Tim the Toolman Taylor.
I was like, Taylor.
I think I pictured it tucked in. I pictured chambray as a man's shirt tucked in, and there was like a little bit of a beer belly. Not the sexy Looney Tune chip bag of today.
No.
That
the chip's bedazzled, correct?
Yes, embroidered / bedazzled. She's going to add some it's being like hand-stitched, designed in, and then she's going to put some bedazzled things to add some sparkle.
Because is it a Dorito? Because the dust could be more of the sparkle.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so it's going to be it's right now like the bag, the outside. So it looks like I have the bag in my pocket.
Oh, it's the pocket.
Is the whole pocket, is the whole mini chip red Dorito bag. But I wonder if we've got room for a chip button, a Dorito chip button.
You could do your nails to make it look like the dust is on it.
I was just thinking that I need to have like, oh my gosh, now I'm getting to, I was like, should I have a small little chip on my shoulder? How many little like things can I
These are the things that excite me to my core. Like, some of my best memories of childhood are my mom and I thinking of the most asinine detail that will take the most time that no one will notice, and getting so excited about it.
Yes. Also, I'm like, I wear my hair down. Why am I acting like I'm going to have, that chip on my shoulder?
Anyone noticed anything?
Very subtle. Reminds me of when we were talking about portmanteaus and if they're good or worthless. And that's one of the ones that is so fun an idea, but like has nothing to do with I don't personally have a chip on my shoulder. I'm very lighthearted, but like, we're like, it's genius. And then you're like, does it mean anything? And that's my wordplay conundrum, is always like, ooh, that's so cool. Like I'll come up with titles and they'll be funny, but they won't like actually work. And then you just have to say goodbye. You kill your darlings. I'm sure you did that with the book, your chapter titles.
I don't believe in killing your darlings.
Oh, so you're a philanthropist. You're saving the darlings.
I can't kill my darlings. I mean, I do, but I think that phrase, like, I don't know. I think that there's balance to be struck, because as the author, if you feel so strongly about something, I think there are times you do have to listen to that and kind of veto the professional opinion. But I don't know.
Now you need a chapter called Kill Your Darlings, and I need a poem called Kill Your Darlings, and we can take that back.
I know. I was trying to think of, was there a pun here with darlings?
We could play on kill too, like
dress to kill your darlings.
That's pretty good. It works with the a custom Dorito.
It really does. My Coach tracksuit is definitely dress to kill my darlings.
Dress to kill your darlings. Yeah.
Speaking of chips too, that is like a fun motif in your book. You talk about chips a lot, and I cried this morning in the one you wrote, like a really beautiful one about like your dad calling you a chip vacuum, and like it's really but like I think it's really cool how you could use a similar thing that like is a constant in your life that is present, and use it to describe like moments of heartbreak and levity. And it's just, I think this is what's cool about poetry books, and even just flipping through this is it just, I don't know, it really did bring a tear to my eye multiple times. And I know it's uncomfortable when people tell you that they cried reading your book, but I had a few moments today where I was like, woo. I love it. Because I like to feel feelings, and your book is like small plates of emotion.
I'm a tapas poet.
Yes. Girls love small plates.
We do. You know what? It's like, with girl dinner, it's basically tapas. It's like refrigerator tapas, because it's like random things in small
wanting
plates.
To try a little of everything.
But family style just means you standing at the counter.
Right.
I do eat family style, but it's
my
just
own family.
When I'm here, I'm family.
That's a good title too. But I also like not whiplash, but like I also, this is why in my blurb I said crying or cry laughing, because I was like, oh my God, she dedicates a poem to the inventor of the waterbed. What inspired you to do that?
Oh man, that is one of the like 90s things I think about a lot, is the waterbed. And I think people still have waterbeds. When I posted that online, people were like, my parents still have one, or I have one. And
they were like luxurious to me as a kid when somebody had a waterbed.
Very. Although, do you remember that like the bed frame was so hard? Like the difference between the watery mattress and the outside. So like you would like bang your shin if you were trying to get in it. It feels like a very turbulent situation. I think I was just I was just fascinated by it, and it felt like a good example of whimsy and just someone who was like, what if we slept on the water? And like, I love ridiculous things for ridiculous sake. Like, you're just like sick. Like the pet rock inventor, they took off. I hope the waterbed inventor, I wonder what he's worth. He or she, wow, look at that.
Why did
I presume?
Wow, Lindsay, wow.
Internalized misogynism right in front of us. Waterbed inventor net worth, if I had a time.
Okay. Pet rock inventor net worth.
Yeah. Charlie Hall is 71 and a millionaire because of waterbeds, and he holds 40 other patents. He's like you, ranch rank. I guess that's
Seriously?
Not a patent. That's just in my heart. That is patent pending.
Does he have like $1 million in retirement, or like a multi-millionaire?
Meet the man who invented the waterbed. Huh.
So the inventor of the pet rock, Gary Dahl, he made about $5 million in today's money, which is less than I thought.
Yeah, me
for
too.
a pet rock, but he came up with the idea in a bar, which is how most good ideas come to fruition.
That is true.
You know what I really wanted to talk to somebody about is sea monkeys. Did you ever have sea monkeys?
Oh my God.
Where you basically get tiny spermy fish creatures in a powder packet and they come to life and you buy them at a toy store?
Oh my gosh, no. I was thinking of not spider monkeys. What were those little tiny flying sugar things we were all obsessed with when we were kids? Sugar
gliders.
No, this is.
I did not have pet sugar gliders.
What's going on? You have a fancy Arby's and a pet sugar glider. No, I don't remember those things at all.
Yeah, you could
They
buy
turn
them
into
at
little
Toys
fish.
R Us. Yeah, it was like it was kind of a faux aquatic pet for families that didn't want their kids to have pets. Like, did you have hermit crabs?
No, we had real pets. We had like horses
Dang.
and stuff. Yeah.
You had horses?
Yes.
What were their names?
This is true. Sassafras and tequila, which both are alcohol, and my parents were not drinkers. I think we just kept the names from the people we bought them, but I did truly have a horse named Tequila, which that's a cool name for a book. If I was like a serious novel, a horse named Tequila.
Yeah.
Something.
Is sassafras a type of alcohol?
I think so. I think it's sassafras. It's a plant, and I think
it's a plant. Fascinating.
Yeah, those are the. Those are the
Did
horses.
you grow up on like a farm?
Mm-hmm. Like on it was called a hobby farm, which is actually a very cute little phrase.
Are you ballerina farm?
It's me. we did not. I didn't work the farm. We just had land, and my dad still went to Minneapolis and worked. But we had like 15 acres of land or something, and so we had horses and dogs and cats, and at one point we had bunnies. At one point we had chickens. That's it, I think.
Did you get the eggs and make them?
Make what?
From the chickens? Sorry.
Did you make them?
Indoorsy.
Are we solving like the big which came first discussion?
I'm trying to talk farming.
How were the eggs for you and the chicken time? I know farms. Yes, the chicken laid eggs and we would make eggs with them.
That's like so charming to me. One of my favorite poems, literally in this entire book, that I feel like is just, I don't know, it's a perfect mix of nostalgia and concept, is called Drinking Iced Coffee in January. And it's about like the reason we get so hyped when our parents would make breakfast for dinner. It was because our tiny spirits could already sense how intent the world was on smushing us into predictability, how the whole damn thing seemed to hinge on following protocol, how heavy it felt to plan way in advance for delight. It didn't take me very long to learn that I like my eggs and my life a little more scrambled than that. And I was like, I love things like breakfast for dinner or iced coffee in January, or things that just like add a little bit of unpredictability to routine. And that was such a beautiful metaphor. And I was like, it just gave me a little tinkle inside. A bedazzled chambray shacket, a handbag pattern that is a tracksuit. Like, I like your poems like that take something so small and in passing, like a feeling that you had as a kid about like, oh, we're doing breakfast for dinner, and kind of expand it to a bigger life concept.
Oh, thank you. I was thinking about that one today. I'm sure you've had this experience. I feel like anytime I publish anything, you have like the vulnerability hangover or this like feeling like, was that so stupid? And I thought it's so funny that you bring that up today, because I thought falling asleep last night and I was like, I guess I like my life and my eggs more scrambled than that. like my like mean voice haunted myself about being like, oh, you dummy. But yeah, that has been my favorite thing when I like figured out I like to write poems, was that it was taking small funny things but you know, you and I joke about how youth pastors do that, and like that's I never want to anything to feel prescriptive or obvious or like strained, you know, when you're like, and that's why I don't like my eggs like everyone likes their eggs, you know, like you just would hate. There's a friend of mine who's also a poet, Joy Sullivan. She had a book come out earlier this year called Instructions for Traveling West, and she's so wonderful. But she says a poet is not a preacher. Like our job, she says, like our job as poets is not to preach, but it's to name the ache. And I just liked that it's like sometimes the only thing you're doing is saying, look at this feeling. I feel this too. Have you felt this way? And not tying it up so neatly with a bow. So that's always my aim, is not to over proselytize anything and be like, look at that crack in the sidewalk that a flower is growing out of. That's you. And that's how Jesus sees you. I mean, I'm sure, I don't know. You know? You get it.
If God gives you an egg, it is a choice to not make that egg sunny side up and scramble it all you want.
His son died for you.
It is not for everybody, but that yolk represents life and the blood. It's just like, what?
Like, wait, it's such a mixed metaphor. What is the yolk is me and the shell is God, and like the hot sidewalk are my friends.
So your negative internal voice is a youth pastor. My negative internal voice is Carrie Bradshaw. I'm always trying not to sound like I couldn't help but wonder.
Yes.
You know, like when I was being critical of my book, I read it in her voice and would just slash shit out that was like bad puns. You have to hope 90% of your readers are giving you the benefit of the doubt, and that there's going to be people that think you're corny. Plenty of my reviews are like, this book's fine, but it's also really corny. And I'm like,
yeah.
If you have context for me, you know that I have fun with language. Like, I play a lot. But if you don't, you might just think that I'm incredibly cheesy, which is maybe also true.
Right.
And I had to let go and let God.
On this runny egg. Thank you.
Yeah, I did.
But yeah, speaking of the idea of letting ourselves go or all of that stuff, it's like, maybe it's okay to be cringe, or that's something I've been mentally preparing myself for with this book coming out, is that there will be people who it is not for. And I think that's so hard for my brain, because I'm in this perfect, safe little vacuum where I have a large enough following to feel significant. I feel like a publisher said, you are good, right? You have all these external markers that make you go, okay, I'm on to something, but not for me yet, not enough of a wide audience of people who it's not intended for or who would not like it. So you're just sort of like, everyone loves it. This is cool. And I'm like, I'm telling myself that the more people will read it who might not like it. And that just is okay.
It has to be.
I'm fine.
But it has to not also exist. Just even the volume of quality you were able to put out, like, it's kind of amazing. Like, I think I'd maybe be able to churn out 3 good ones of these a year. Like, do you have phases where you get inspired and you can do them, and phases where you don't?
Yeah, I will write a ton one day and then like not for the next 4 days. And I have the luxury, since this is not my like entire job, I never write when I don't want to. I don't know if you're like, I imagine you're somewhat similar to me, where it's like, if the muse strikes, we listen to her. But I don't have like writing hours where, unless I'm on some sort of deadline, and even then, I'd rather push the deadline. I'd rather be than force out something I don't like. But you and I talked about this, I think right after your book came out, this idea of what's next that you have to deal with as an author or creator, where you've done this thing and you've put all this heart into it, and then everyone's like, okay, and I've thought to myself in like, what would be the next book? And sometimes I think like, I've written a lot about motherhood since the manuscript, but then when you think about the volume of work you'd have to have and it's centered around a singular topic, I'm like, I don't know, man. So I feel like first books are such an interesting thing, because we can back catalog all of this stuff we've ever talked about, written about.
Exactly.
And then now they're like, okay, well, you did all your greatest hits. Talk some more. And you're like, gugh. Like, do you feel the same way?
100%. I wrote my first book. Like, I never will write another book again. Like, I had to squeeze every goddamn thought I've ever had, just assuming I wouldn't get the opportunity. And that's why, ironically, it keeps getting labeled as a memoir, even though I didn't want it to be. Because I'm not going to keep writing memoirs. I was like, well, no, it wasn't the only. I planned to keep writing. What are they going to call another one?
It's
a
like
memoir
if
of the
people
past 2 years. Like, no.
It's like if people think you touch on your childhood at all, that it's a memoir. I feel like that's what, like, just because you wrote about like you know what I mean? Like, it's just, it
And I
didn't,
think
it
the
wasn't a
problem
memoir
is-
to me at all.
Oh, good. The problem is I like made it chronological because I wanted to use the radio shtick of like the 90s, 2000s, and today, which was on me. But
See, you didn't kill your darling.
I didn't kill my darlings. I really didn't. Speaking of killing your darlings, are there any titles of poems that are like puns or turns of phrase that like you love, but you've never been able to fit a poem into, or like things you cut from the book?
I have so many. Like, a lot of times poems will just start out as jokes to me, or wordplay, or just some line I've thought of. Like, you know what I saw? I was looking through my notes and I saw collective effervescence. I feel like you talk about frisson a lot.
Yeah.
And I was like, I should write about that. Or I looked up the other day and found out that a bleeding heart, when someone's called a bleeding heart, one, it's a flower that is shaped like a heart. I didn't know that. And two, one of the definitions is dangerously soft-hearted. And I was like, oh, that's so I have all these ideas and not enough time. There's a poem in my book called Cracks of Light. And I don't remember why, but in my notes, I wanted to call it Butt Cracks of Light. And I think it was because I was so nervous in I still am, of being too earnest. Like, all I want to do is make a joke out of it. And that one is serious. And I don't remember what I was going through. Someone tell me. They were like, that poem changed my life. Can you tell me more about what you were going through when you wrote it? And I was like, I don't remember. Like, sometimes I was like, oh my gosh, I need to come up with like a great story. And I just couldn't remember. But I almost called that Butt Cracks of Light, which I don't know why. There is a poem. My favorite title in the book is called Resurrectile Dysfunction. And I was just waiting for my editor to be like, are we sure about this? She went with it. I love the editing process, but that's because I feel like as a poet, you get to sort of be like, you get to bend a lot of the rules because you're like, that's the intent. Or they'd be like, this style says that comma should go there. And I was like, it doesn't. So I just got to be like,
doesn't.
Wow.
Did you have to do a legal read?
What's that?
A hilarious process where like New York City lawyer that's like, 58 years old named Mark reads your book that's not intended for him and asks you questions that it makes you change things that could get you sued.
That's amazing.
It was so funny. It was maybe the funniest part of the process because Mark would be like, you speak incredibly disparaging of Nicholas Parker and Elizabeth James. Do you know these people? And I was like, oh, those are the parents from The Parent Trap. I don't know them personally. They can't sue me.
They are fictional. Oh my God, that's
one of the
so
things
funny.
I had to change, I spoke so disparagingly of Snackwell's Devil's Food Cookies that I guess Nabisco could sue me. I like blamed them for my body image issues.
That's how I feel about spray butter. Remember spray butter?
Do I have it in my fridge? Yeah, I remember it. I still spray it on popcorn. I have cancer probably.
I remember I was living in the sorority house sophomore year, and someone was like, this is a really like no fat snack, and they would take fat-free saltines and spray butter on them.
That's so sad.
And I was like, whew. Did you have to cut any like funny jokes that you like?
Mark Fisher Ltd. Fall 2024 collection seamlessly blends casual luxe with street styles and coveted trends, offering elevated details and premium materials. Mark Fisher is everything, you guys. So I'm going to moderate Lindsay's event tomorrow, and I'm going to be rocking Mark Fisher footwear. I don't know, it depends on the weather, but I think I'm going to be wearing the Alande sandal, which I wore to a wedding this past weekend, 2 straps, a lovely kitten heel, which, things I thought I'd never say, a lovely, fashionable, trendy kitten heel that I wear once, twice a week. The kitten heels used to be the death of me as a tall girl they were pushed onto me because they didn't want to be taller than the boys at dances and like, but the way they make them cute and fashionable and make me want to wear them is just, I don't know. Leave it to Mark Fisher to make everything desirable. Leave it to Mark Fisher to make things desirable and trendy, but not trending. You know what I mean? They have things that are on trend, but I can wear them season to season. And as fall approaches, you want to look for styles to invest in now that you can wear for years to come, such as the Zala pump. It's their best-selling style that works 24/7. It's a classic ponytail pump updated with an ultra comfortable block heel. I'm going to show you guys on Instagram. It's super cute, and it'll add a sleek touch to your everyday outfits from the boardroom and beyond. It's available in multiples of colors in luxurious leathers and suede. I'm sure you can guess. I ordered it in black. And the collection also includes ultra versatile silhouettes such as menswear-inspired loafers, modern sleek booties, versatile black ballet flats. Shout out to the ballet flats. I'm so glad they're back in. They really make the world go around. I am loving their slingbacks too. Something about a slingback with like a slightly cropped pant feels very Nancy Myers to me, IDK. These styles transcend wardrobe essentials, embodying a sense of individuality and empowering every woman to make a statement with her personal style. Embrace limitless fashion and endless trends of city street style, effortlessly transitioning from day to night. My entire TikTok For You page is like, what's in for fall? Brown suede. And I'm like, wait, what? We're doing suede again? I had no idea. So now I'm like on a hunt for Mark Fisher brown suede, and they have so many cute brown suede things, and I think I might do the fold over route. But you can do it all. Black leather, brown suede, snake skin, you can go wild. They even have fold over, slouchy, western. That's 3 trends in one. We love a trinity, Father, Son, Holy Spirit, shampoo, conditioner, body wash. Anyway, you guys, Mark Fisher is awesome. I love them. They keep me cool. They keep me on trend, and they keep my feet well outfitted year round. And you can use my discount code and the code STACK. So if they're doing like a regular sale, oftentimes the code will stack with my code. So be sure to always check. For understated luxury at its best this fall, shop the must-have pairs of the season and receive 20% off your purchase with code BeThereIn5 at markfisherfootwear.com. That's MARCFISHER footwear.com for 20% off with code BeThereIn5.
Well, I guess if you're not killing any darlings, they're all in there.
No, some things are funny to me. Like, I have this one chapter about my career, but it's like it's called Be There in 5 with a B, about being a B student. I almost called it honorable mention at all because I only ever got honorable mention. I think the idea of honorable mentions is so funny because it's just like not a thing.
It's like absolutely not. There's a picture that I feel like encapsulates my entire personality and achievement life where I'm beaming holding a 5th place gymnastics trophy.
Yes.
Like, why'd they even get, like, I was like, I've done it. And like, what? This is a ribbon right here. It's an honorable mention ribbon for a swim meet. And on the back, it says I got 12th place. That's last of 2 heats. And my mom wrote, wow, with an exclamation mark. I'm like, this is why I have the audacity to be doing shit like this. Okay, was your mom your biggest fan? Because my husband always jokes that he's like, your mom cheered you on too much. Like, just a little too much. She just thinks everything.
I'm this weird amalgam of very like socially insecure person that felt very torn down by the world and the male gaze, but felt very built up at home. And so like I'm so creatively confident and intellectually confident, but very like physically and socially insecure. And my parents, they made me feel like I was the bee's knees, and I think I'm better off for it. I feel like if your parents were like into the shit you'd make for them or the poems you'd write or the short stories, it was a big deal coming home and then being like, this is really good. And then you do it more. And I just feel like I don't know about you, but words for me were always like a thing I knew I was good at from a young age, but it wasn't grades. It was like my mom.
Yeah. Like my mom would be like, write that down or let's write that story. And she cataloged everything. And on the back of all these things is like, wow, Lindsay. And like, look what she did. And I'm like, yeah, I'm sure she did it for my sisters, but they were probably like a little more like, is she sure? Or like, is she correct? And I was just like, there's no way she's wrong.
Absolutely not. She's the authority.
But I have one I wrote down that was called, fool me once, twice, 3 times a lady. I think that was one of my ones about dating. And then more recently, I got a microneedling facial. Have you ever had microneedling done?
No.
It's fantastic. Highly recommend. And the title I chose was A Microneedle in a Hey Girl Hey Stack. Like so many puns. It's absolutely like it's illegible.
It's like, those are my favorite. It's when you're merging 2 figures of speech.
Yes.
And it's usually like one figure of speech with a normal thing. But when you're doing layering 2, it gets amazingly complicated.
You can't. I was writing about body image the other day, and I was writing about my butt, and the title I chose was, or I thought about was, Down in the Dumps Like a Truck. I was sad about something. Outside of Cisco, would anyone know, is Dumps Like a Truck something, is that
That's what we call ubiquitous.
But is that just because of Cisco, or would other people that did not grow up hearing thong song know that dumps like a truck meant?
Is your target audience people that don't know thong song?
Vehemently no. Never.
I don't think a person, an octogenarian is going to know that title is about butts, but I think you're good for most people.
Fair question to ask. Fair question.
Semi-relevant. I hate the name dump cake.
What is that?
It's a type of cake, and I always see TikToks where people are making dump cakes, and I'm like, we got to think of a new name for a dump cake.
No. That needs a rebrand. That needs like the vegan leather treatment. Like we need to come up with something sexy to call pleather.
Rebranding dump cake.
That's going to be the next Can They Brand That? Me and Allie, rebrand dump cake.
I love micro needle in the Hey Girl so much. That's a bit much.
It is. It really is. It is a good litmus test though, because you're like, if you find this obnoxious, you shouldn't, like, don't open the book.
Totally.
Right? With the name of the book, here's the vibe. Look at the cover, read the title, glance through the table of contents. If you're already rolling your eyes, well, no, don't put it back. Buy it for a friend. Buy it for a friend that's fun.
Right. That's why it was good for you to say a Republican in sheep's clothing too. Like, I think it's good to have something at a glance that if you're like one of those people that's going to be mad that you're liberal, that you'll know, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I did glance at Goodreads once, and someone early on, because it's still like in pre-sale times, and someone was like, love this book until, and when they got to a Republican in sheep's clothing, and then they like wrote all this stuff about God, and then that X'd out, and then I was like, I know that reviews are not for authors, they're for readers. Goodbye.
You know what's funny is at first I read For She's a Jolly Good Fellow as For She's a Jolly Good Follow, which I also really like.
That's really good. I thought you were going to say For She's a Jolly Green Giant.
For She's a Jolly Good Follow. I was like, that's really good. Fun.
Something we need to talk about briefly, and we can share these, we were talking about Taylor Swift food and drink.
Oh yeah, before we go.
Yeah.
People always post in the Facebook group that they want ideas for Taylor Swift food puns, drink puns, and like things for theme parties or like Eras Tour viewing or whatever. And I feel like we've even like shared a Twitter thread about this or something.
Yeah, we have.
So I thought we would share each other's before we close out in the name of wordplay. The name of gratuitous wordplay.
I thought you were going to do the name of the Father, Son, and I was like, oh.
that too.
But I bet you we have a ton. I feel like
Father, Son, and Spirit meets the bone.
Father, Son, and Spirits.
So what are some of yours?
I have them separated: cocktail, wine, and food.
Ooh.
I just looked at one of the wine ones. My tears, Ricka Shiraz. Rolls right off the tongue.
Because some of them are a little too long, like Magnetic Force of a Manhattan. It's like, it's not really strong. Yeah.
Well, and like, I think there's some obvious ones that people have probably, like Sauvignon Blanc Space.
Right.
And, you know, some of those.
A Marguerite. But it's also like, do we want a, late grandma drink?
Right. Maybe.
New romantics.
Oh, rum. That's nice. I have This Is Me Pouring.
Totally.
Oh, yeah, I did. Oh, yeah. Okay, so some food. I was thinking about classic appetizers or like party foods you would have. And so here's what I've got. Queso it goes. I think that's a little obvious. Like queso dip. I can do it with a broken artichoke dip.
Oh, hell yeah. I haven't thought of Tortured Poets ones.
Or King of My Artichoke dip. Which one is better? I can do it with a broken.
King of My Artichoke dip is punchier because it's shorter.
Fresh out the Alabama Slammer. Because Alabama Slammer's
good.
a cocktail. Who's Afraid of Little Old Fashioned? This one's really good.
That's perfect. There's also like Guilty as Gin, I guess.
As gin,
Because I had Bajin again, which like, not really. Or, but Daddy, I love gin. Gin's an easy one.
Gins are great because I have Carta-gin and tonic.
So basically, if you want to have a gin-themed Taylor Swift party, we've got you covered.
Instead of My Tears Ricochet Shiraz, I have My Ties Ricochet. My Ties Ricochet.
Yeah, My Ties Ricochet Shiraz.
That's so stupid. Okay, so another food one I was really proud of is Scott Bruschetta. And he looks up grinning like a deviled egg.
That's a good one.
They have that at parties, yeah.
They do.
It
reminds me of the time I told Greg he should put on devil horns for Halloween, and everybody would obviously know he was a deviled Greg, and nobody got it.
He's like, I'm never trusting you again. You're like, I promise. I swear.
I wish I had done this with Tortured Poets because
we can eventually track these out probably. I have I can fix him a drink. No, really, I can. The Manu Spritz.
The Manu Spritz. Because I have never thought we'd have a last Spritz, but that's too long.
Oh, no, sometimes the long ones are really good. I have a Fortnite cap.
I dress tequila my time.
Oh, that's nice.
I dress tequila my darlings.
There it is, tequila my darlings.
I dress tequila the horse, my darlings.
I dress tequila and ride him. Ooh, not that.
I talked to your dad, go pick out a white wine.
I have a really long one about, I was trying to look up, I don't even know if people make these anymore, like stuffed mushrooms at a party. I'm in mushroom. It's a typical Friday night. It's so long on these little mushrooms.
You belong island with me.
You belong with meatballs?
You belong with meat.
That's a good charcuterie. I bet you think about brie for baked brie.
Oh, yeah, that's perfect. Yeah, okay, because like, who's afraid of little old brie?
Yeah.
And I'm like, down bread? That's so stupid.
Because I'm down bread. It's just like a loaf. Oh, but Daddy, I loaf him. We could do that.
Daddy, I loaf him. I can do it with a broken tart.
Oh, yeah.
Of some kind, maybe.
Tart is nice, yeah.
Wow, that aren't very strong.
Get away. Oh, the other one I had is that you could serve Funyuns in a bowl and just call them paper rings. For everyone, for a big, Funyun.
That is such a good one.
All you had to do was satay. Is anyone making chicken satay?
That is all you had to do.
All you had to do was make me a peanut sauce chicken skewer.
I actually think in general skewers are wild at functions where you're dressed in formal wear.
Absolutely. You know what? Speaking of the book, I have a poem called Everything I Missed During the Pandemic, or all of the things I missed during the pandemic. And one of them was like when you're at a function and you're holding champagne in one glass and someone comes by with a past app and you want to grab it, but then you also need a napkin. Like, what are you to do? You can't raw dog it. So then you sort of grab one and then they hand you a napkin like this. But then if it's a skewer, you can take one bite and then you got stick. You got stick to contend with.
Every wedding I go to, I say to Greg, there's got to be a better way. Like, how is this? How have we not figured out cocktail hour, drink plus food?
Like, the billionaires need to stop trying to go down to the Titanic and start figuring out how to have a past app that we can eat.
I guess we can save our portmanteau to tow for your book tour.
Yes.
Because honestly, I don't really have very many good ones unless you consider Vera Bradley Cooper good.
Also, I wonder if at this point people really have fatigue of us just saying wordplay and just giggling. Although that's all we have to offer. That's pretty much it. If our moms are listening, they're laughing.
Okay, can I just tell you that one time I was looking at an old live show thing where I was talking about something with wordplay, and it was a portmanteau that I was showing on screen and I could not figure out what it was, and it was Casper the Ghost dressed in khaki pants. What do you think the portmanteau was?
I was thinking it was something with Chico's or one of those stores. Casper the Friendly. Hold on, give me one more second.
So stupid.
He's in khakis. Am I going in the right direction with it, thinking of it's older people dressed up, or is it a totally different direction?
It's a different direction. It's like the style of dress.
Oh. You gotta tell me.
I don't even know if this is funny to anyone else. It was unfinished business casual.
That's great. So it just was ghosts in general, not Casper specific.
I guess
it was
so.
like the haunting.
I
yeah.
couldn't remember. When I was a kid, kind of, like, you know, you're afraid of quicksand and Venus flytraps, things that aren't real threats. I was like afraid of unfinished business. Because like ghost things talked about you would only haunt if you had unfinished business. I've never finished business. One.
First of
Two, like, was that only Casper? Because I don't really know what other ghost things I watched.
It had to have been.
I don't really remember.
I don't really either. I just remember Devon Sawa.
Ugh. So hot.
Devon Andrew Sawa. I looked up his middle name the other day because I think it's very funny to call celebrities by their whole names. Like
Devon Andrews.
I think it makes it seem like I really that I'm a real. Oh, Edward. Sorry. Hey.
Ooh.
Devon
even
Edward
better.
Sawa. Even better. That's who Teddy's named after.
Yeah. You know Devon Sawa, his middle name's Edward, and I've always wanted to name my child after. Lindsay, actually, I'm never good at finishing business because I'm never good at ending the show because I could talk to you forever. You're a delight. I can't wait for this book to come out. It's called A Bit Much. It comes out September 17th. I'd say to come see us on tour, but you've sold out you sold out all of your dates, haven't you?
Yeah, the only thing, if this airs before then, they're opening a free, you can come afterwards and talk to you and I, which I was like, who's going to do that? Like, you can't come to the conversation, but they can come to the bookstore afterwards to talk to us.
So you'll have to let me know what I have to do.
Yeah, I know. She just emailed me that this morning. It was like, what would you think if? And I was like, okay, well, we'll see. So, but yeah, you can lurk outside. Oh my gosh, this is not going to help us end, but we're doing a photo op install. It looks like a giant of this book, but on the inside is a sardine tin with sequin sardines, and you can stick your head in to take a picture.
If you want to come meet us, but you only can get a photo of us inside of a sardine tin, and you live in Chicago.
Niche.
When is ours? Next Thursday?
Yeah, the 19th. September 19th. Thursday, September 19th at Volumes Book Cafe.
Okay. Mm-hmm. And where can people find you online?
You can find me at Mary Oliver's Drunk Cousin on Instagram and TikTok and Threads. I guess I'm not on Twitter anymore. And then LyndsyRush.com for any other bookish stuff.
Amazing. Thanks for coming on Be There in 5.
Thanks, Kate.